Welcome to Into the Cypher State, everyone. This is the premier public broadcast for Galactica Network, and we're very happy to have you here. This is the ZK-powered L1 blockchain for decentralized society and private real-world on- and off-ramps. I'd like to welcome you to the stage. My handle is Citizen42 within the Cypher State. You can call me Dave. Today I'm joined by CosmosHOSS, my wonderful regular co-host. We've also got a special guest in Maxime from Seaborg, a fantastic protocol that I'm sure we're going to hear plenty about. Can't wait. Got to get through a quick disclaimer before we get going, guys. Welcome, by the way. Before we start, it's very important to remember that on myself, Hoss, Maxime, anyone who joined us on stage, any team members, we are your guides to navigating the Cypher State, but we are not your financial advisors. Our guests' opinions are very much their own, and nothing said on this space constitutes financial or investment advice, so please don't sue us. Okay, everyone. So I just want to get some introductions out the way. Maybe we'll start with Maxime today, just to get things fresh. Maxime, how are you doing today, my friend?
Hey, well, first of all, thanks for the invite, and yeah, great day for me. In Paris, the weather is good, so for once it's cool. And yeah, basically for those who don't know me, I'm co-founder and CEO of Seaborg, which is a spin-off of Swissborg on SocialFi, building a mobile application, referencing Twitter Space, and integrating Web3 layers and values also.
Absolutely amazing, Maxime. And Hoss, how are you doing, my friend? How has your week been?
Doing well, man. It was a good day today. It's always a good day, especially in this space, man. It's just a lot of excitement as always, man. I was on a few calls today, just really exciting what's going on in this space, and yeah, man, love being here. I always look forward to this because it's like a different spin to technically what I usually talk about. So it's always nice to have a little bit of a chill / serious vibe, I guess, if that makes any sense.
Hell yeah, just like kind of constructive conversation, bit chill. It's a nice vibe. Speaking of which, if you would like to come up and join us in that vibe, you are more than welcome. Firstly, I would invite you, please give us a like and a retweet on the space. Really helps us out with the algorithm, all that good stuff. Get more people in here to listen to good information. Secondly, if you would like to ask a question or if you have any input, drop a comment in the space, or you can request to speak. This is an open stage. We're happy to have you up and have a chat with you. So please, if you want to, please do. Well, let's get comfortable, everyone. Like I say, if anyone wants to speak, please request. I might add some pinned tweets at some point, but I don't think we have anything major right now. We are looking forward to our testnet coming up pretty soon, so very, very much looking forward to that. But I can't give you any announcements yet, so we'll have to wait on that one. Okay, everyone. So first things first, as always, we're going to do a very quick news section where we just go through some of the more important things that have happened in the space. Possibly in this case, something that isn't that important, but I find funny. And then we will go on to the more important stuff, the main flesh and bones of this space, the main topic in the title there. So in the news this week, we have had a Denver pastor has said that the Lord told him to steal $1.3 million from Christians to remodel his home. The Denver pastor, Eligio Regaldo, and his wife, Caitlin, have been charged with civil fraud for misappropriating the $1.3 million in donations. The couple marketed their cryptocurrency, INDX coin, to Christian communities in Denver through a cryptocurrency exchange that they owned called the Kingdom Wealth Exchange, despite having zero experience in the field. I'll just throw this out there because I find it absolutely hilarious. Probably shouldn't, but it seems quite funny to me. Hoss, you are our king of Americans. What do you think here? Do you think these people were told by God to do this?
I honestly didn't even hear of that till now, but no, like I come from a different cloth when it comes to any sort of institution that's supposed to be based off of God and religion. If they're there to, I guess, prosper or make like a serious living, like don't get me wrong, like the preachers and pastors and all that, they need to be able to put food on the table, rightfully so. But when they're living in luxurious homes and driving crazy cars and all that, it's just not a good look, in my opinion. But totally did not tell him to do that. No one's going to tell you to put $1.3 million into your own home from the big guy above. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of hilarious. Not that it's
Absolutely bonk.
not that it's like it's funny in that aspect of like the people that they believe that they're giving their hard-earned money to a good cause, and they probably believe that. But I also kind of find it odd a little bit whenever I see different what is it called, denominations or whatever you want to call it, of like churches, and then you see like what kind it is, like the over the top flamboyant type thing. That's kind of not my vibe. So anyhow.
I don't know. Some of the gospel stuff is quite like energizing. I'm not religious in any way, shape, or form, but like some of those got like where they really like have that passion and they go, yeah, this is what's what. It's kind of energizing in a way. Have mad respect for some of these people.
I agree.
But in any case, I don't think that God ordered this in any way, shape, or form. And but apparently, these people are hoping for a miracle, and that the investors who did this will get their money back. So there's that. They might be going to jail, but they hope for a miracle. Okay, Maxime, I don't know if you have any opinion on that. I don't expect you to, but if you want to, you're
Yeah,
welcome.
not really, not really. Actually, I'm not religious either. So, but yeah, I think it's funny, and yeah, everybody can do what they want, and as soon as they're happy and okay with it, well, it's fun.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, in more serious news, guys. So we have a Swiss fintech term, Taurus. They've been featured on our news a couple of times, to be honest, in the past, like a few weeks back and a few months back, even. They are basically trying to get more liquidity into the space from Web2, which is all good. I think they're trying to basically make everything compliant, make NFTs especially accessible to outside investors. So basically, the NFT space and that kind of asset becomes more liquid. So I think that's cool. What do you guys have any experience or any wishes for any more like exposure from Web2 in that regard, into like getting more liquidity into that space from Web2?
Can you repeat the very beginning part of that?
Like the question or the news?
The very beginning of I heard the rest of it about getting money into Web 2. I honestly, my phone went haywire there for a
That's
second.
okay, man. That's okay. No, no, no. It's Taurus. It's a Swiss fintech firm. It's backed by Deutsche Bank, like the biggest bank in Germany. So they've basically got regulatory approval from Switzerland's like financial authority to offer tokenized securities to retail clients. So that means like basically anyone in Web2, not just like any investor really. So basically, it just increases that like that liquidity and that kind of asset in NFTs, in digital currencies, tokenized securities, everything tokenized basically.
I mean, that's been the vision since day one. The people that were building all these different technologies out, that everything will be tokenized, and I firmly believe that. So, it's nice to see other regions of the world be a little bit more sensible, and not try to hold on to things that evolve over time. Like in America, it always reminds me of kind of like when people are get tend to be older and they don't want to adopt with times. Like people don't realize, but like the internet's been around since like 1969, and you'll get people, oh, well, I didn't grow up with it, and they're in like their 50s or 60s. It's like, well, I mean, you had to kind of go out of your way over the last like 20 years not to use the internet, or not just want to learn how to use it on a basic level, fundamentally. So like that's some most humans probably don't really like change, but I think it's nice that they're offering that, because the old ways they're just antiquated. Like we used to have CD. Before CDs there was different technologies. Now everything's just digital, right? So like, why not have data be digital, the monetary system be digital, governance systems be digital? Like everything just needs to kind of, it's 2024. You got Elon like, thinking about putting satellites out on Mars that reflect the sun so it heats up the surface. Like we could do all that, but yet we need to be doing all these antiquated monetary systems with banks and all that. Like let's get with the program. So it's nice to see that. I think America's kind of letting everyone else kind of take the lead, sadly, which makes no sense because we were taking the lead with like Web 1 and Web 2 and all that. But it is what it is. I'm still optimistic that maybe a new administration or something comes in and they kind of just like get smacked in the head and wake up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, that's great, man. I'm all for it. I mean, I think a lot of these institutions, they want it all. Like they want to be able to take a real world asset and collateralize it and borrow against it pretty much instantaneously without all the red tape that's been going on for for a long time. So it's great, man.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. It kind of gels with my general theory that, Web3 is just as the name suggests, it's an iteration on the internet. And the internet is for everyone, for absolutely everyone. It's not just for self-sovereign individuals, but it has to include them, and it has to basically be built upon the backs of self-sovereign individuals to make it work. So yeah, Maxime, do you have anything on this one, or do you want to? Shall we go forward?
I think it's great, and yeah, the thing is, maybe it's kind of related to the topic of today, which is the mass adoption, and well, let's say the mass adoption in terms of liquidity is really likely to come from this, so institutional, but real world asset, and those kind of things are really interesting. And just as mentioned a few minutes ago, I think it's 100% sure that we need at some point to have something that is tokenized that you can put as collateral on Aave and then borrow some Ethereum. And I think we need to go there, and that's when we will be there. Well, this will be clearly a big adoption. You can do the same with private equity. You can make it liquid with tokenization. It's absolutely crazy. When I talk to to a lot of funds actually in Paris, a lot of investment funds, or yeah all those people are really looking at tokenization, and basically it solve real finance issues. And basically it's great.
Fantastic stuff, man. Yeah. So we're going to go to a slightly different tack. This is from the Nasdaq. So, $3.1 trillion in illicit funds flowed through the global financial system in 2023. Now, I'm telling you this because the report does not mention Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, or stablecoins, because it was all in cash. So it's just basically suggesting that cash remains the predominant form of fraud and basically crime facilitation in the global financial system. So this is stuff like human and drug trafficking, terrorist financing, all of this stuff, and it's in fiat. Like almost the entire majority. Please, Hoss, I know you have opinions on this.
Can you forward that over to at Elizabeth Warren?
We don't get political here, but we don't get political. We can't do that. What I can do is I don't know. We can just basically we can tag her in it.
Yeah, no, she according to her, like that none of that exists except for like Bitcoin's been funding all this crap. I mean, it's just hilarious. Like I seen a thing not too long ago about some sort of I didn't know all this. I didn't understand all the specifics about it. But according to what she was reporting, and I'm sure it was legitimate, but like some sort of cartel member was using cryptocurrency to do something, which makes no sense. But anyhow, it was like such a little amount compared to what the number you just threw out. It may have been like 900K, and she kept emphasizing 900,000 over and over and over. Like, I mean, yeah, to most people, like financially for themselves, that's a lot of money, but it's just like that's that's nothing compared to like the trillions and trillions of dollars of just illicit money that's been floating around over the last who knows how many years, forever basically. I mean, it's just
that's a grain of sand. I mean, 3.1 trillion is the wealth of nations.
Exactly. And it's just yeah, and I don't know if people buy it anymore. I mean, she has a platform, so I guess there has to be some people that buy her notions and her statistics that she throws around, but she just neglects things like what you just mentioned. And it's just crazy, man. But no, it's kind of scary to think about that there's just that much corruption and just illicit and just, I mean, honestly, evil action out there,
100%, man. Yeah, 100%. Maxime, what do you reckon on on crypto's involvement in fraudulent activities, this kind of thing, this kind of line that's touted by people who are anti-crypto?
I think it's I mean, I heard this so many times. Well, basically, when you talk to someone that does not like crypto, this is the maybe one of the only argument that the guy will tell you. But yeah, basically, I mean, it's like everything. Of course, a small part may be used for those kind of illicit activities, but at some points we need to look at this at the percentage point of view. And when you look at the percentage, it's we should verify, but from what I remember, it's like less than 0.1%. I mean, it's really nothing. And if you compare this to the cash, I don't have the percentage of the cash used to those illicit activities, but it should be interesting to compare. And I think it's much more higher for the cash. And that's really, yeah, that's what we need to look at. And also, if we go back a few years ago and took a kind of a historical point of view, I think this is something that is really decreasing in the Web3 industry also. So yeah, but yeah, then I think we could talk about all the, yes, some protocol that get, let's say, that have some difficulties with some government of or some regulators. Yeah, this is more a delicate subject, but yeah, basically that's all from me.
100%, man. No worries. To be honest, guys, that concludes our news segment. I just wanted to get those bits out there. I like to make sure that everyone in the listener panel is well informed. So that's why we like to do that little news segment at the beginning of every show. So thank you for that. Just do a very go on, Hoss.
No, I was going to tell Maxine. I don't know why. I kind of slept at the wheel. I just joined your service. I don't know why I didn't before. I see a lot of familiar faces that are joined up on your application, your DApp. It's pretty cool.
That's a
Anyways, I just
funny
want to
thing, Hoss. That's
put
a
it
very
out.
funny thing. We should actually, you know what, guys, just like and retweet the space. And Maxime, it would be actually great if you could maybe describe your service a bit, because obviously Seaborg is having their Genesis campaign at the moment, and we are part of it. We are one of the whitelisted spaces. So if you interact with our space, and especially if you come up and speak on the speaker panel, you'll gain XP in the Genesis campaign. So Maxime, maybe you could just describe that quickly, briefly, and just let us know what it's all
Yeah,
about.
sure. Well, the thing is, we wanted to do this first campaign, and the goal of this campaign, before describing it, is, well, of course, is to reward the first people that help us, follow us, and interact with us. But also, this is a way for us to, in the coming weeks, depending of your engagement and your points, well, you will have early access to the app that is, yeah, that is mostly ready. Cyrus saw the app just yesterday live, so it was, yeah, it was cool. Some feedback, so really nice on this. And yeah, basically the idea behind the dashboard is, how can we make that people interact more on Twitter, and especially with Space, because in Twitter Spaces we have, like, let's say, a lot of alpha, a lot of interesting contents. And so the idea is, of course, to engage with the Cyborg account, to follow us, to see what we do, etc. But also to push really everybody on Twitter that is doing some spaces. And that's why we wanted to whitelist Galactica, because, yeah, great space, and thanks again for inviting me. And yeah, basically, just you can interact with some spaces, like, retweet, comment, and you will earn some points. And so yeah, go check it out. And yeah, that that's good.
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, so definitely check out the Seatbelt profile. We'll be seeing more from them. I actually really like it because, like, I find Twitter Spaces, very specifically Twitter Spaces, rather than the Twitter app itself or the X app, whatever you want to call it. I find Twitter Spaces to be the most free form of social media that I've found so far. Like the most unfiltered and the most uncensored, the most where you can really just be yourself through voice and like truly express yourself in that way. So anything that adds like a reputation layer to that, I am so on board with, and I can't wait to see the app, Maxine.
Yeah, I was going to say. I think just looking at it real quick, it seems like it's going to be organized. It's so at times I find, because I follow a decent amount of people, and I know a lot of people that do spaces in this in our space, so to speak, no pun intended. But at times I find it to be difficult to figure out when they're doing them. I know you can hit reminders and all that, but it'd be kind of nice to just have a dashboard with like all the people you're following, and okay, they're doing it this day at this time, and have it just on, one interface, which that seems like that's going to be a thing. So that's pretty cool. I'll definitely be using it for sure.
100%, man. Okay, so I'd like to move on to the title, the title of the space, guys. So, what does Web3 need for mass adoption? Is the question we're going to try and answer. Just like to remind everyone, like and retweet the space. If you have a comment on this, then please comment it below in the little purple pill on the bottom right, or you can come up and request to speak. We're happy to have you up here to discuss. So I'd like to kind of start off really pretty soft. I think the best question to kind of start first is, what do you guys think Web3 currently does well? Like, what have we got so far that really helps in the mission of mass adoption? And what do you think? Yeah, we'll just stop there. Let's go with Hoss. Go on, man.
Yeah, no, like the thing that it's obviously nailed basically to perfection is just the instant settlement of data packets being sent from to one another, right? Like, you can have so many different sources of data within that. And the most commonly used one is just obviously tokens, which is a form of money and value. And you don't need anyone's permission, which is great. Like, and that's just so it's just great because there's so many use cases in that for anything, right? Like people that travel, they work somewhere, they want to bring money home and funds. It essentially eliminates intermediaries that just have been leeching off of humans for thousands of years, which is great, right? Like that's basically the best use case ever. Is like it just gets rid of all the bullshit, and now you can send money to one those and not have to worry about getting just smacked over the head in fees. I guess unless you're kind of using Ethereum right now, but other than that, but at least that goes back to
Sore topic,
yeah,
Hoss.
sort of topic. But no, like in seriousness, like that's pretty much the greatest use case ever, because that just gives you a foundational standpoint where you can build off of that. And we see all the other use cases with the NFTs, and we haven't even touched the precipice of like what an NFT can be or will be in the future. But just everything, it's just competition to all that. Like think about, I'm sure it's out elsewhere, but like the ticketing system is just really bad. I know, for example, like I'll use like Ticketmaster or whatever, and I'll go get tickets, and it's like $150 fees when the tickets may be $100. You're like, what is it? Why is there so many fees? And then this space could obviously get rid of that, and just so like that's just the competitive edge, and you need that, because if not, we've seen how people are, like they'll just abuse the system, whether it's banks or institutions or whomever else. So this just gives like a we all can partake in this game theory together, and chug and plug, so it's just great.
100%, man. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Maxime, but I guess the same question. What do you think Web3 does well right now before we start getting into the stuff it needs to do?
Yeah, I think to follow up on what was just mentioned on token, I think that there is an interesting thing here, that is, I mean, when as a project you create a token, in general, when it's an application, it's interesting to use the token to serve a purpose. That is, for example, in our case, to attract people and retain people. And the thing is, having a token in Web3 is really, really interesting, because those kind of token, if it's well used, it will be really major to attract people in your app. Because in general, if you create a new application, and it's true in Web 2, in traditional everything, nobody wants to install a new application, or nobody wants to change some habits. And with Web3, what you can do is you can totally bypass this by having a token, and by incentivize the right people with the right things. And this is, I think, something that, yeah, really interesting. And at some point, many people will use this, and Web2 also. And this is what the bridge, let's say, the gap will be less and less. And yeah, so this is one point. And then the thing is, I think one really important thing is the community. we in Web3 we have one of the strongest community, and it's yeah, well, it's amazing. And many big companies, if you look at LVMH, if you look at many companies are now coming into Web3, especially for this, because I mean, you see, you can raise a lot of money if you look at back in the days to the ICOs, or even with some crowdfunding, fundraising, etc. This is amazing, and this is only with the Web3 community that you have those kind of thing. And basically, if you look at also a third point, which is infrastructure, I think that something that we manage, let's say, a bit better in the past years is scalability. But well, it depends of the chain, and yeah, we have a lot of issues, but I think it's interesting to highlight that it's a bit better. Yeah.
I would say we've come a long way with infrastructure for sure, but I couldn't agree more with you on just the Web3. Like the average person in Web3, the average, like just you guys down, like you guys in the listener panel, and us up here, the kind of people that we all are, we are here most of the time, like for some form of growth. And I love that. I love that almost everyone in this space has a growth mindset, whether that's financial or social or whatever it might be. We're all here to learn and to grow in some method or sense. And it's an absolutely beautiful thing for me. It really is. So yeah, I mean, I think Web3, from my point of view, I think we do the financial absolutely amazingly. I think, frankly, that our infrastructure for financial transactions is better than Web2 now. It is absolutely better than Web2 at this point. Like it just, it's just the adoption factor that's in any way a hindrance. Um, in some way, the interoperable Web3 has the solution for your problem if it's financial right now. And I think that's absolutely amazing. It's taken a while to do that because obviously we're not building in a centralized manner that's nice and easy and neat and easy to wrap up into a bow. We're building basically all those tricky methods of transacting between each other in a decentralized manner that's permissionless, that you can just get on and use regardless of who you are or where you are. So it's a whole lot more difficult to do, and that's why it's taken a decade plus 15 years to get to this point. So I think that's pretty much what Web3 does right now. Well, it does the we essentially have like the monetary institution with Bitcoin, and we have the computer system with Ethereum and other layer ones, and that's absolutely amazing. So like the permissionless contracts, again, that's absolutely huge. So we can just we don't need to have those intermediaries, just like Hoss said, and that's an absolutely beautiful thing as well. You don't have to have trust in that equation. But saying that, trust is something that any system with a social element does need at some point in some way. Trust is a requirement. You can't remove it all the way. So it kind of moves on to my first question of the topic, the main topic. So in your view, guys, what does Web3 need beyond what it already has to gain mass adoption? That's a very big question. There'll be plenty of things that come up. But maybe Maxime, do you want to start with this one?
Yeah. I can start with a few things, and then I think it's good. Basically, I think it's interesting to divide the adoption in two parts. One, the liquidity, and two, the people. And so if we look at the liquidity side, well, for me, it's more likely to come from institutionals. So we have, let's say, a first round with the Bitcoin ETF. So it's kind of a first step, which is cool. But then what we mentioned earlier with railroad asset, I think this will be the major part. And yeah, I think that's a good part, but we need a better regulation and something that is more clear and yes, more legal definition. For example, on a DAO, how do you define a DAO? Is it like kind of a state, a company, a common? I mean, this is kind of thing that are not really legally defined. So it's kind of interesting to see what will be done. And the second part is on the adoption in terms of people. And well, there, if you look at today, you have 5 billion people on internet. And the thing is, if you look at those 5 billion, you have 4.9 billion on socials and around 3 billion people playing games. So it's more likely that the mass adoption will come from those. Yeah, I don't know what you think, guys.
Hoss, I'd love you to just carry on from there, mate. I've got a bunch of things that I want to ask, but I want to let you get a word in.
Sorry, I was not gonna lie. I heard most of it. I got a call and then my phone.
That's cool. I'll follow up then. You can follow up me. That's cool. No worries. So yeah, I mean, obviously, the real world assets thing is enormous. This is something that we've been trying to tackle with Galactica Network as a primary concern. This is why I've started basically calling us the blockchain for real world links for decentralized society and real world private links, because there's so many different variables that go into allowing you to have a real world asset be traded on chain, and it's not just making it one to one with an NFT. It's not as simple as that, because then you have the privacy concerns. Do you want people to know that you have a 3 million an NFT worth $3 million in your account? Do you want people to know where that account is situated and on the rest of your assets? It's one of these things that's in TradFi. You don't have access to these things, as people use third parties for a reason, because they want security, they want privacy, they want people to have that level of trust with their third party that they so that they can transact with these massive amounts with these huge assets without the inherent security risks. So there's an awful lot that goes into bringing real world assets on chain in a way that not only you and me can use them, but also institutions are willing to even bother with it, because there are a lot of benefits to having real world assets on chain, and there's a lot of benefits to doing it in on chain in general, rather than using traditional systems. But it needs to satisfy all those concerns. It needs to satisfy the privacy requirement, and that's the main one, to be honest. So that's again one of the primary concerns of Galactica has been to produce these real world links that allow you to maintain your privacy at every step. So you have your identity, you have your the ability to basically prove anything from off chain on chain without ruining the security of your data or sacrificing your privacy. And that's been a huge amount of work. That's been 2 years worth of work. So we're looking forward to that. And for the second part, the people, yeah, I mean, geez, I think getting I don't know, what would you say, like 85%, the 95% of people who are not willing to be their own bank on board, that's the trick of it. And that's going to require trust at some point. It's going to require some trust through some third party or some ability to a bank or someone with pre-approved trust for a normal person to actually use crypto as a backend. And honestly, that kind of normal person is never even going to know that they're using our backend of Web3. Those people are not going to know. They're just going to get an email at some point from their bank or from their their third party trust saying that we've switched our backends. Here are our new terms and conditions, and that'll be it for them. They just have a more efficient system. They may even well have the ability to onboard as a self-sovereign individual at some point. Using their assets, they might maybe get access to an abstracted wallet or something like that, if the provider allows it. So they might be able to have like an onboarding path to becoming self-sovereign, and I think that'll be a great thing. But yeah, there's an awful lot to this. So thank you for that, Maxime. Hoss, do you want to put in yours?
No, I totally agree with you. I know when I first got into this space, like my background's in accounting and finance, and I understood that from like an accountant perspective of why blockchain really made sense to me. But then, my thing was that I kept digging in, and I'm like, well, some of this is not sustainable. The first thing that I resonated with was what like Secret Network was doing, because they had a solution to have programmable privacy. So like you can essentially do transactions in private on a blockchain, but at the same time, at the same notion, same token, so to speak, you're able to release your records or produce your records for whatever sort of purposes it was, it is for taxation, or like if you were a hedge fund and you wanted to get into this space and use these sort of technologies, right now you're not going to do it because there's no competitive advantage. You just simply find out whose address is what, and then you just basically copy and paste what their strategy is. So like there's no competitive edge. So like that, from that perspective lens, to get substantial money and get people to trade and do what everything on chain, yes, privacy is the main focal point. And also obviously having that safety and security as well. I mean, it's scary, right? Like you mint an NFT right now, and maybe it goes up like a bored ape or whatever. Someone finds out, and honestly, it's kind of a safety hazard. Not kind of, it really is. Like that's why, for the most part, I try to be like synonymous as much as possible. It's not because I want to hide or anything. It's just I just feel more safe, right? Plus, I just like to chill. Like I don't want all that. Like I had a really decent run at things before I got into this space with like athletics and all that. I mean, honestly, I don't even tell anyone who I am. It's just like I'm just trying to chill, and it's more safe that way. It's just the way it is, and that's just what the space needs to offer is like ways of privacy. It's not that you're trying to hide anything. You're just trying to. It's no one's business. At the end of the day, it's no one's business, right? Like it's no one's business how much money's in your bank account, or if you sent your mother or your brother or your dad, your father, whomever, like money. Like it's no one's business, right? Like they shouldn't be able to track it. You go to a store or a merchant, like right now, if you use crypto, they would just get your address, throw it in a block explorer. Now they know what your net worth is or what you're buying or what all that stuff. That's not sustainable. So that is clearly the biggest hurdle to mass adoption. I don't know if everyone technically cares about privacy. People, you could just look out and about what people post on social medias and Instagram and all that stuff. All their private stuff. It's like, wow, this person clearly doesn't care. Like they're just this, they're discriminating themselves by doing what they're doing and all this stuff. But people do care, that the ones that actually have the money that can substantially throw in a lot of money into the space, they obviously need that privacy. So that's, yeah, man. I couldn't agree any more with that. Like I could keep going on and on about like the important, how important it is, and it's not even just from that. It's just like for everything, like anything really, any application can have a layer of privacy in there. So yeah, privacy is in my opinion, is the most important part of knocking the door down to mass adoption. And slowly but surely, you'll start to get the people in the space. Granted, it's going to take a long time. I mean, it might take another generation, right? All the people that really have the wealth right now on planet Earth are ones that barely can use the email, or they don't even realize you can have more than one email address. So, it's probably going to take some time, regardless of what you build out right now. But it'll happen, man. It's definitely going to happen.
For sure, man, for sure. And you're right. This is, we're talking a decades worth of time spans here. It's just, it's absolutely enormous, the kind of scale of what we're actually building here. And I don't think many people in Web3 truly understand the actual full scale of what's being built. This is the infrastructure for the society of the future. I mean, that's not overstating it to say that. And that's, why we are building the way we are building, is because we want to enable that. We want people to enable that core ethos of Web3. And it's not just about privacy. It's about, because like you said, not everyone wants privacy, but it's more about the freedom of choice. That's if I had to distill Web3 down to one thing, it would be freedom of choice. You can choose to go over here and play with Bitcoin. You can choose to go over there to Monero and be completely private. But but the point is that when you have the freedom of choice, you also have to take on board the ramifications and the responsibility of your choices. So it's when you are acting in a self-sovereign environment like we do, it's very important to keep in mind that your choices have ramifications. They have ripples that will go out not just immediately, but also in the future. They may affect your reputation in the future. You know, the blockchain is open in most cases. It's completely traceable. You know, and a future employer might take issue with some kind of transaction you did 20 years ago. It's completely possible. So there's just a lot to it, and I'm absolutely fascinated by all of it, to be honest. So this is why I think, you know, we've gone for the maximum choice route when we've been building Galactica, so that, you know, you can be private, you can be pseudonymous, you can be whatever you want. You can design your own social institutions. You can be a citizen. You can, you know, you can contribute to the cipher state that we're building, and you can earn, you know, a universal basic income. You can make, you know, true decisions. You can truly own the protocol and make huge decisions on on the funding of the public goods that get made on the protocol. Or you can be a, you know, a pseudonymous individual who just uses the base layer, uses the reputation functions, all this stuff that just makes it, you know, more useful than most non-social blockchains. So there's just, you know, freedom of choice, guys. Freedom of choice. Make sure anything you use just gives you that choice. That's what Web3 is. Anyway, I think I just did a bit of a rant there. You guys, sorry, Oscar.
No, I was just going to say it was good stuff.
Thanks, man. So, quick reset to the space, guys. You are listening to Into the Cyber State. This is the premier public broadcast of Galactica Network, and this is basically the blockchain, the zero knowledge power blockchain for privacy, for real world assets, real world links, for citizenship for the first time to a blockchain, for the first on-chain nation state. This is a huge deal. It basically brings the, you know, the social element to blockchain that has been missing for such a long time, and in addition to all the financial goodness that we've already built in the space. So give us a like, give us a retweet on the space. We've been Hoss and Maxime have been spitting some awesome facts, some great knowledge, and it deserves to be out there. So make sure you give a like and a retweet to the space. Follow CosmosHOSS and Maxime, and yeah, that'll do for the reset. So then, guys, what do you think about like the ease of use problem, the UX? What are you guys thinking along? What do you think Web3 platforms can do to be more user friendly to people who are actually going to be using them as self-sovereign individuals? So, like, you know, the dApps. How do we get dApps more user friendly? We'll go with Hoss first, mate. Go host privilege.
Yeah, so like there should be like the whole, I guess the whole moral of this story is just options, right? Like having flexibility, and if someone wants to have that Web2 feel where they just use their email address or their cell phone number or whatever it is, just have account abstraction. So you don't even have to technically have a Kepler wallet or a MetaMask wallet or whatever. Now, would I opt into that? Absolutely not. I would never opt into that. But for those that want to, why not, right? Like just have it so they could just 2FA their normal way. And that's essentially how they get into the space. They can onboard with their debit card or their credit card and just get in the game. And then, you know, maybe someone just uses one application that's in this space, and you know they don't even need to know technically it's crypto. They just do whatever they want. Maybe it's their favorite game or their favorite little app or their social, maybe it's a new social media or whatever it is. You know, it's like that to me is the biggest pinpoint in this space is doing that. Now also in addition to that, there has been teams working on this. Like there's MetaMask snaps and other things out there. But you know, like if someone's like fully integrated with like Solana's ecosystem or blockchain, and then they want to come over and experience something, you know, in IBC or Cosmos or whatever, they shouldn't have to change their wallet, right? Like they shouldn't have to like, okay, well, I need to go get another wallet, download this, and you know, like just like when we go to the stores, we only have one wallet in our pocket. We don't have 5 wallets or 10 wallets because oh, well, you went to this store, you need to get this wallet. Well, you know what? Actually, I got to go back to the car because I forgot that other wallet in there to go to this other store. Like, it just makes no sense. And we definitely need to change that. And I know there's a lot of people behind the scenes working on all these different solutions. So for the current people in here, just they can have their favorite wallet and have at it. For new people, they could do that, or they could just have that Web2/2FA feel that they have, like when they log into their Robinhood or their E Trade or whatever the hell it is, the bank or whatever. So that's kind of what I feel.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. It needs to be seamless. If it's for someone outside the space, it has to be seamless. There's no other option. I mean, even people in this. Sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit. People in this space, even they have to set up one crypto wallet, and it's difficult. You have to set up several crypto wallets. You have to do that whole process the entire time, like multiple times. That's just a massive friction point.
Yeah, I mean, even this is not to like put down EVM, but I guess I'm going to put them down right now. It is day and night when it comes to using different L2s or different EVM things compared to in Cosmos, right? So, for example, I got to the point where I have different browsers profiles just to do different things in EVM world, because every single time you want to go from one tab to the other, maybe one's on Binance and the other's on Polygon and the other one's on Arbitron. Literally every single time you want to move to one to the other, you have to manually change your wallet to the new chain. In Cosmos, that's not a thing. Like, I could interact with 20 different applications on 20 different blockchains, and I never have to change my wallet or do this or that. Like, I don't need to do any of that. And yeah, that needs to change in the EVM world. Like, it just needs, like, you could use your MetaMask and it automatically just does it. You're like, okay, I'm on this tab, and then I open up this one and it just automatically changes. I don't know if they're ever going to do it, but I know Cosmos does. I don't need to have a bunch of different browsers and profiles. Like, I got so annoyed with it that I would just create profiles that were based on, okay, I would just name it like Polygon or Binance Smart Chain or Arbitron, because I was just like, it was just easier that way. But it was such a pain in the ass, dude. Such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, was and still is for sure. I have the same issues all the time. Just too many damn wallets. Maxime, so on the ease of use, the user friendliness of current dApps, what do you think, man? And how's Seaborg attacking this?
Yeah. So much to say on this topic, clearly. Well, first of all, I totally agree with you with this need of interoperability, and I'm really looking at what obviously Cosmos is doing, Axelar, Layer Zero, all those, and I think it's really a big need in this industry. And from the point of view of Seaborg, the first thing that we look at is the onboarding flow. And so we need things based on account abstraction. So basically you have interesting things, but I think that we are still a bit early on this. You have interesting things coming on with. We have some tech like Comet, which is like a French project on the gaming, and they do some interesting stuff with the phone and the secure element that you have in your phone. And well, basically, it's a good alternative to what Privy and Magic Link are doing. But this is a kind of technology that today is the most interesting for us, and we'll look at those. But definitely in the coming months, we'll have a new tech on this that will be, I'm sure, amazing. And yeah, definitely looking at this. Also, we are looking to how we could sponsor transactions. So, for example, when we have users in our app, if we want to do small transaction like tipping or things like this, how can we make this like sponsor the transaction so that people do not have to pay? So this is a kind of thing that today it's really difficult. I'm not saying that we can do this, but I'm saying that this is a kind of thing that the industry need. So basically this, and on a more general, let's say, level, I think the Web3 space need more good product manager and good designer, UI UX, because we have a lot of excellent developers in Web3 space, but I think we're lacking a little bit of those kind of people. And yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, I was just on a call today about the UX and simplifying things with people, and yeah, I think the Web3. Well, again, like I said earlier, everyone in Web3 seems to have a growth mindset, and that I love. The one thing that Web3 does seem to suffer from a little bit is that everyone's a tech head. Almost everyone is a tech head. everyone, and people like that, they're beautiful people, but they overcomplicate. They don't think about the end user in the same way that someone from like someone on that level would, and it's tricky. Ross, come
Yeah.
on.
No, I was gonna say I literally probably about 45 minutes before this space, I was having the same exact conversation in a different context. It was more so on the communicational side of things with devs and teams, and like one of the things I've been like super grateful for and honored and blessed is that for the most part, especially in Cosmos, I've been on private calls with essentially every single team in Cosmos, and a lot of times from business develop people all the way up until the founders or whatnot. And some are better than others, but most of them struggle with just taking complex data and technical jargon and just relaying it in just like digestible ways, right? And the same notion that's so applicable to just the UI and UX of it. It's like not everyone knows how to CLI, or like no, a lot of people they don't know how to CLI. They don't want to do that, or they don't want to do this and this. And well, like another thing too that the space kind of suffers with is whenever there's some sort of error message in the any blockchain really, like, yeah, I know what it says because I've been doing this so long and I've asked questions and I've done a shitload of research. But you see these error messages, and a lot of the work that I do in the space is, I would like to call it the janitorial work. It's just help with communities and answer questions and just help people. But they'll send me over like a basic error message, but it is complex. It's like I can understand why that person really doesn't understand why they're getting that error, like what the solution is to fix it. So I know it's like I don't know why by default it was it was designed like that. It should just be human readable, like why there's an error. But I guess that's been like that kind of in all of tech, right? You get the 404 errors and other errors. It's like, well, what the hell is that? Now you got to go Google it or search it or whatever. But no, I totally agree. I think that there's a disconnect between their eclectic minds compared to just normal minds, right? And it's almost like the people in the world that make decisions on policies or different um just different actions, maybe they're only communicating with like elitists. It's like, well, you realize that 99% of the population does not think like you think, and just because you and your friends think like that doesn't mean like the normal person that's working a 9 to 5 job is thinking like that. So totally agree. I know I went off the rails there, but that's what I agree with that.
No, man, of course, of course. I think I just want to say hi to everyone in the comments. I appreciate everyone shouting out and saying hello and just generally being fun in the comments. I appreciate you all. Shout out to Mabel, to Don, Pontepi, Pitok, Shisu. I hope I got that right. I'm pretty sure I've just murdered that. In any case, hi. And thank you to everyone else for joining us in the listener panel too. If you could give us a like and a retweet on the space, I would be eternally grateful. You should also follow our guys up on in the co-host and speaker spots, guys. Maxime and Hoss, they are amazing guys. They are always out for giving out alpha, and more importantly, even just being educators. They are fantastic at giving education and doing it in a way that makes sense to normal people, and that's why I love them. They're good people. To give them a follow. For Maxime, follow his personal account and follow the Seawalk account as well, because that's a cool project. Okay, so I guess that's actually a really cool way of transitioning into the educational question. What do you guys think is the best method of educating people as to the value of being like a self-sovereign person within the crypto space? So not like a Web2 person coming in, but what's the best way of educating like people to be like us, who to care about being their own bank, all that kind of thing? We'll go with Maxime first on this one.
Well, it's a very difficult question, because yeah, education is a tough topic, and especially when it comes down to self-education, because I think to if you want to have let's say some self-education and then educate yourself, you need to have at some point at the beginning some education to know what the good data and to sort this data, especially today, because today we have so much data. And even more with, if you use ChatGPT, you can ask every question that you want, so you can learn so many things. But how can you sort the good data, and what can you keep from it? And I think this is the most difficult. What I may say, actually, I'm young, so probably I'm quite young, so probably the thoughts on this of us and you guys may be more interesting than mine, because I'm learning a lot, and I will and I will a lot more. But basically, I think, yeah, you need to follow good project, good people that inspire you, and especially try to understand the concept. So if you try to understand what Galactica is doing, basically, if you try to just to ask question, know why decentralization matters, why ownership matters, uh, why all those things. And especially also, I think it's interesting to have so Web3 people point of view, but also go and talk to Web2 people, because sometimes, I'm going out with mostly with only Web3 people, and I think I should go out also with more Web2 people, because sometimes they just don't understand the way I'm thinking and the way that the Web3 industry is thinking. And so it's interesting to go and talk with them, because they will have some question interesting on how we think and vice versa. And especially when it comes to decentralization and ownership, many people on Web2 do not understand this, and they do not even ask question like, why do we need ownership? I mean, and this is the same thing. And even in France, for example, it's the same with investing. If you talk to French people about investing, well, it's really different than the US. I know that in the US, many people are more, let's say, educated on this, self-educated. In France, it's not the case at all. It's even complicated to talk about money, and also definitely go talk to Web2 people. So much interesting, and ask question. I think this is the most important.
That's a great take, Maxime. That's really cool. That's got me thinking. Actually, like we should definitely be talking to people who are not in the, who are not self-sovereign, in order to figure out why they're not. I think it's like I really do think that it's just a case of of ignorance, ignorance as to the value of ownership, as you kind of already alluded to. They just don't know, and one of the ways that I would like to kind of get this across to people is to make them understand the speed and scale at which their data is both being collected and is becoming increasingly at risk from multiple centralized kind of directions. So, you have the CBDC angle that you can talk to them about. The fact that, almost all governments, I think at this point, are intending to roll out some form of central bank digital currency, which is essentially, a blockchain system, but completely centralized, and allowing that government to decide for you whether you have access to your money or not, in a much more direct and more pervasive way than a bank can already. So obviously, having a private bank in between you and the government is safer than having the government directly control your money. That's just it's just an abstraction thing. That's one way you can kind of explain it to them, why they need ownership. You can also tell them about artificial intelligence, the threats of simply being in the digital space in this day and age, and how fast that's going to change with the advent of more and more advanced artificial identities that will inevitably become completely indistinguishable, even though they're pretty damn good now, but they will become indistinguishable from humans. And honestly, on some occasions, they will be more interesting and more. They will put across their points more passionately. They will have superior writing abilities to humans. They will be more interesting to read. So in order to combat that, in order to be in the digital space and be yourself, be human, be uncensored, you need a firstly decentralized system, because if you have a centralized system, that centralized system can simply say, this person is not allowed to speak because X. They will censor you in some way for some reason, so that's just unacceptable. So you need it to be decentralized. And secondly, you need it to be able to prove yourself. You need to be able to prove that you are a human in amongst the flood of AIs. You have to be able to do that. So those are the two criteria that you need to be able to do in the next, you need to be able to control your data in the next decade. In fact, you need to be able to control your data in the next couple of years. I'll be honest, if you're not already. So yeah, I've probably gone on a bit. Hoss, any comments? Sorry.
Yeah, it's challenging. Just from my experiences, I think the only way you can kind of start to tap into the market is to understand your audience and then quartile your content or your message directly towards that individual or set of humans, so to speak. Because when you just randomly have a conversation with someone and then you're trying to educate them on crypto, it's just going to go over their head. Like no matter even regardless of how much how informed you are of certain topics, like I don't know how many thousands of hours of research that I've devoted into the space when it just comes to like just being educated and trying to stay on top of every different sort of tech and what they can do and what's the use for it. And a lot of it most people aren't going to care about, right? But you need to be able to relate that information into whatever their hobby is or their profession is. And I was just using myself as an example. Is like I think it was like May of 2022. I was down at Permissionless in West Palm, Florida, and I think it was like day three. I think it was like a 3 day event. But like day three was more just like random people, not the community and people that understood crypto as a whole, but just like doctors and lawyers and architects and people in real estate. And they would come up and they would start talking to me, and the first thing that I would do really is like just ask questions about them, right? Understand who they are, and then kind of teach them tech why crypto can basically improve their infrastructure or save them money or be more secure with their data if you're a lawyer, and just like all these different ways, right? And I think like the only way you can really start to tap into that is you have people that are educators go to events, right? Like not just a crypto event, but just like I don't know, if there's some sort of real estate thing going on in Vegas or wherever it's located at, you have people that understand this on a complex way, but also just like a way to just be super digestible, right? And just like one by one you go in, you start tapping at all these different industries and go from there. But as for just like random people, you just have to give them analogies and metaphors, diagrams, things like that for them to start to understand it. I know myself, when people would come over and they would ask me about like what's osmosis, because at the time I was helping out with osmosis and we were the only Cosmos L1 at this event. It was all basically Ethereum, Solana, like AVAX, a lot of EVM stuff. So when someone would come over and they would ask me like, "What's osmosis?" I instantly knew that they knew nothing about Cosmos. Instead of me going, "Oh, osmosis is this," like I literally didn't tell anyone what osmosis was. I would pull up like map of zones, and then I would explain things like, "Hey, you like look over at that booth over there. That's the Solana booth. That one's the AVAX booth. Think about it. That person over there is speaking like Russian, and that person over there is speaking Mandarin. They have no clue what one another is saying. They need some central person to, as a translator, to describe what they're saying, and then you have to trust that person is actually being truthful. But in Cosmos, everyone speaks the same language. And I'd be like, imagine if humanity spoke the same entire same language since existence. I was like, crypto may have happened hundreds of years ago, right? Like because there was always this language barrier or trade barrier because people couldn't understand what one another was saying. And then like I was saying it like that, and I'm just using all these different metaphors and analogies, and people would understand it, man. Like, and it was like people just kept coming to me, and trying to get educated. But it's a lot of work, right? And it's like not a lucrative position to like educate. It just in general, like, look, I don't know how other parts of the world are, but educators in America, unless they're like professors at universities, like they don't make any money whatsoever. So there's that as well.
100%. I love that you brought that up. Like, education is such a profession of passion. It really is. You have to want to educate. You have to want to give away a little piece of yourself, as well as the subject and the subject matter you're trying to teach. It's absolutely enormous, the mental effort that goes into teaching, and the physical sometimes, of course, but like it's always the mental effort with these things. So yeah, just hats off to all teachers. If anyone's a teacher in this room, I just have no idea how you guys do it. And in any case, guys, just give a thumbs up or an emoji for teachers in the chat. Why not? Okay, guys. So I got kind of one more question for you guys, and it's just predictions, I guess. Like, what do you kind of see the roadmap of adoption being? I'll leave it super open like that, just so you can kind of fill in the blanks where you want to. What do you think the roadmap for adoption actually is? We'll start with Maxime.
Well, it's a tough question too. Well, basically, so I'm looking mostly at the next 6 months because further than this, it's really difficult. But I will try to play the game. And yeah, basically, I think that one important thing will be so in Europe with MICA. So I think that regulation will kind of dictate a little bit the adoption also. And we have, of course, what happened with just with the ETF, Bitcoin ETF, and probably next Ethereum ETF, and maybe some other. We will see. But I think this is one step. And so I think if you look at the liquidity in those ETF, it's like between 20 and 30 billion, I think. Correct me if I'm making a mistake here, but I think it's that. So it's quite low. If we look at Bitcoin, it's like 800 billion of market cap. So it's ETF right now. It's really like nothing compared to the whole market cap. But I think this is maybe one interesting point to look at to see the adoption. And at some point, if my grandmother can have Bitcoin uh, in your bank accounts, well, I think this will be a big sign of adoption on the investment part, which is different from the adoption of the technological part. And this, yeah, on the technological part, definitely driven maybe by the legal part, legal definition. What I said earlier on this, we need more definition, more clarity, and yeah, basically in the coming years, and hopefully this next bull run will be, yeah, we will have lot of more people, and maybe if we have some interesting mix with maybe AI, Web3, all those, and if we try to pick on different, let's say, parallels topic to Web3 and try to put this together, maybe we will attract also some other people in the Web3 space. So yeah.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. And I'm glad it's so difficult to do long term predictions. I couldn't agree more. I just find it super interesting as just a mental exercise. Hoss, what do you think, man? Like a roadmap for mass adoption, quote unquote.
I mean, when you consider mass adoption, I mean, there's what is there, over 8 billion people on planet Earth. It's going to take a long time, regardless of like what you build or how great it is or how awesome account abstraction is and things like that. So, I honestly, I guess like if you want to consider mass adoption, what are we looking at percentage wise of like human population? Like, maybe half of them, I think that's going to take a long time, honestly, just like thinking of it from that perspective. Now, if you're just using like a monetary perspective of how much money comes into the space, then that's probably going to be a quicker um, time to the finish line, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, it's just going to be interesting to think about it because I really don't know how long that's going to take. But tech is always it always surprises me, right? When you put some sort of long timeline or some long roadmap, typically technology in the long run, at some point, beats your timetable because of some other sort of technology that comes out, or some sort of solution that maybe you didn't see at this point in time, like in 2024, that comes out in 2025 or 26 or whatever year it comes out. But I do realize, if you like study the markets, and if you just look at, say, downloads of Coinbase or whatever, right? Like, they are going up, and if you could look at the numbers for DeFi, right? Like, we're just like in a really bad bear market, but if you compare that to like the previous bear market, there was a lot more money still in DeFi, and there was a lot more active users than the previous cycle. So that's always a good sign that people are coming into the space, but they're staying in the space, right? So, I probably think it takes a couple more cycles, and I think everything runs in the parallel with the United States debt cycle, which essentially runs in parallel to the presidential cycle, which that's my thought process, and AKA the Bitcoin halving is all synced up together. So, there's that, but I do think even this cycle, like, say we go into like an absolute bull market till late 2025, I think there's going to be a lot more money that stays in this market compared to the other ones. I think it's going to be astronomical amounts compared to, you're probably going to add all the cycles together and probably multiply that. There's probably going to be more funds in this upcoming bull to slash bear market, because of, just like we already alluded to, there's a little bit more clarity. It's not there, but there's a lot more like green lights too of getting institutions in the space. So it's going to be interesting, man. It's so hard to predict the future, but my future outlook is that there's going to, my question, and like I always ask, is, it's real simple. It might sound stupid, but in 1 year from today, will there be more people in this space or less people? And I keep saying yes. So when I think like that, one, I think, oh, we're still extremely early, but two, it's like, it's just, yeah, there's going to be more people in the space until otherwise. Like, so yeah, there's that too.
It makes a hell of a lot of sense, Os. It really does. Personally, I think that like you've kind of both alluded to, it needs a catalyst. Like, I think that, well, it doesn't need a catalyst because, like you say, Hoss, it does grow year on year regardless. But I think for like true mass adoption to occur of blockchain as like the infrastructure for most things, I think it does need some form of catalyst. And unfortunately, most times we've seen in human history, infrastructural changes have only really happened in response to a failure. So, something fails, then you fall back on whatever backup technology you have, and that becomes the new norm. So right now, blockchain, crypto, Web3, we're building something special. We're building infrastructure that could serve people for hundreds of years. It's immutable and it's unstoppable. But we are still in this phase where very few people are involved and very few people really understand why they need it. So adoption is difficult. It's just a very tricky thing to get going. But like I say, with the rise and speed and scale of the changes we're seeing in the digital world right now, with the advent of artificial intelligence becoming human-esque or easy to misidentify as a human currently, with its future prospects of becoming even far more advanced, with the quantum age right around the corner, which a lot of people seem to be forgetting about. I must admit, I think a lot of people forget that we are right on the cusp of a quantum age of computing, which will just accelerate all of this 10x, 100x, 1,000x maybe. It's like you can't really underestimate that one. I think there are some catalysts in which blockchain is simply absolutely required. It's beyond required. It's just something that it's the only way forward once other systems collapse or can no longer serve the people they're supposed to serve. So we need every element. We need blockchain to be complete. We need complete, or at least capable of hosting every aspect of society and humanity. So, like I said, I've said at some point in the space, we've got the monetary institution with Bitcoin. That's cool. As long as, ordinals don't mess up the scaling, hopefully we're okay there. But Bitcoin is a great monetary institution. We've got the computers with Ethereum, with, Solana, Cardano, all these hundreds of other L1s. What we are missing is the social. We are missing the social institutions. We're missing people, essentially. We are missing the people, the trust, the social institutions on chain, and we're missing the links to the real world, because people in Web3 have a problem with with forgetting that they are actually part of the real world. And Web3 is, again, like I said at the start of the show, Web3 is for everyone. It is not just for the self-sovereign. It is built by the self-sovereign, but it is for everyone. So I think we all need to remember that. Right, I think that's pretty much a good place to sign off on that one. So, guys, I would just like to get you guys to give us a like and a retweet if you haven't already. That'd be absolutely fantastic. And if you give us a comment, even better. Been having a great time just chatting with you guys in the comments. I'm just going to go through a couple of things that have come up on the AMA questions channel in our Discord about Galactica very quickly, and then we'll do a quick sign off from everyone. So I'm just going to take a quick drink, 2 seconds. My apologies, guys. I've had a really bad cold over the last couple of days, and apparently my voice has just decided to go, no, I've decided not to. From Baby Key GMI, is the dev team of Galactica doxed? Yes, we are. You can find all of the team information on the team page. I think it's in the About section of the Galactica.com website. So you can click on and follow the Galactica.com profile up here on the stage. Go to our website, same name, and check on the About and team. You should be able to see all of our members there. PTOC. So how do we know that the KYC that we must download to our computer is a safe file? Just trusting Galactica? Exclamation mark, question mark. So the KYC file is indeed just a text file in JSON. So it just contains the encrypted data of the KYC. You own it. You hold it. Okay. And that never goes on chain, ever. So all you do with that information is you use the Galactica Snap to create zero knowledge proofs from that data. So that data never leaves you. Okay. All that goes on chain is proofs. So you can prove that data on chain without it ever being exposed to on chain risk in any way, shape, or form. Can't contain links, macros, nothing. It's just pure JSON. So hopefully that helps. If you have any more questions, PTalk, just ask any more questions. Dorito. So does the community meetup with Swissborg at the end of next week, will that be recorded? Yes, I believe so. I can't say that every single part of the roadshow that the Swissborg guys are on right now will be recorded, but I think at least like the important parts will be. We'll double check with them, but you should be able to check the Swissborg YouTube channel, and this should have most of it on there, I think. I'll double check with Cyrus. 1000 OUZ. Hi all, is the number of members in the Discord channel a number we can trust in terms of Galactica active current membership compared to the X followers? Okay, so that's the thing about different platforms, different social platforms. They attract different types of people. So the X account is all organic. It's just, a bunch of people going for a new protocol. The thing about X followers, though, is that, a lot of people just click the button for follow and then forget about it, or don't even add you to their main list. They don't look at you. It's just one of those things. The Discord, on the other hand, is again purely organic, but it's obviously smaller. We've only got 620 odd members in there or something, but everyone's active. Most people are either just active or they're on the Cypher State campaign, earning their citizenship. Whatever they're doing, they're all active. So Discord and Twitter and X are very different things. So that's just the discrepancies that you see on most social media, to be honest, with people being active or being genuinely active with your project. Then we have Professor. Why did you choose building on Cosmos? I think we might have even attacked this in this space. Maybe not. But mostly I can distill it down to the IBC, the interoperability aspects, the low fees, basically everything that makes Cosmos Cosmos. So we are building something that allows us to create a reputation framework. And we want to be able to not just have a reputation framework on our chain. We want to be able to, for you guys, to import and export reputation and use it across the IBC. It's a massive undertaking, but the IBC is basically the only interoperability protocol that we know of that is bulletproof enough and flexible enough in order for us to be able to like do that exporting of reputation. So that's pretty much why we use Cosmos, because it's the only one that really allowed us to do what we wanted to do in a technical manner. Sorry guys, my voice is just terrible right now. I apologize. Right then, guys. Thank you very much, guys. This has been an absolutely amazing space. I'm going to have to stop at this point just because I think my voice is actually about to fall down on me.
That's
So I'd love.
perfect timing, man. Because I got a call here in less than 8 minutes anyhow, so it was like meant to be. But no, it was a really good space. Honestly, I thought there was a lot of good info and good insight, and just grateful as always to be a part of it. And yeah, everyone that tuned in live and listens to the recording, obviously, shout out to you guys and as well. But yeah, man, totally great space. It's just exciting times. That's all I could say. It's like super exciting. It's just so much fun, dude. All this is so much fun.
100%, man. Don't pay attention to that price, guys. It really doesn't mean anything. Maxime, I don't know if you want to do a shout out or if you want to just say
Yeah,
goodbye.
yeah, sure. Thanks a lot. It was great. Good talking here, and yeah, always pleasure to come here. Yeah, great community.
Wonderful, man. And that community is everything to us, guys. So thank you very much for joining us on the listening panel. It's been absolutely amazing. If you would be so kind as to just give us a like and a retweet on the way out, I have to say it. It does help us get the recording out to more people. So it's valuable information, good education on this space. So give us that shot if you can. So thank you very much, guys. This is Into the Cypher State. We host this space every week at 9 o'clock UTC on a Wednesday. So please join us on the next one. And finally, and as always, I would like to thank you for joining us, everyone. We look forward to seeing you on the very next episode.